a fairly extensive process, both reaching out and having people reach out to us. I know that we're hoping to have me interview finalists over the next week or so.
How many finalists are you interviewing? Is it a big group, small group?
I don't know. I suspect it'll be a relatively small group.
Can I follow up on it?
3 or 4, something like that?
Probably, yes. I'd say anywhere from 2 to 5, probably.
And you wanted candidates, people in that position that wouldn't be running for re-election in 2020?
That's my goal. And
why?
I think that's a really good question because I've read a lot of editorials that are concerned about that decision. And I have to be really clear with you all. So the reason why I didn't appoint someone when I replaced myself is that I didn't want someone who was both running for the office and overseeing a presidential election, because it would have been the first time they would have overseen an election. And I was concerned that that left a bad taste in my mouth. And we saw when this happened this year in Georgia, when Brian Kemp was the Secretary of State and he was overseeing the election for governor that he was running for. So that is why I'm doing it, and it had nothing to do with a contested primary or anything. I didn't want someone who had never done this job before, who had never overseen an election, to be running for office at the same time. Coincidentally, my appointment will also be overseeing another presidential election, and I do not want someone who is both running for office, overseeing a presidential election, who has never done elections before. And so that is why I'm committed to appointing someone who doesn't run for the office again. So that criteria, along with obviously them being a Republican, there's other criteria. I want someone with management skills, someone who is used to leading a body, whether it's an organization or an agency. I want someone to have those types of skills. This particular agency, well, I would argue is a high-functioning agency. It's really important that there be some level of consistency and someone who cares about leading the agency.
The Oregon Republican Party has asked that you choose from their list. What's your response to that?
Well, we certainly appreciate the input of the Oregon Republican Party, and they provided us with some very respected names. And my understanding is that staff had talked to everyone on the list. I have some criteria in terms of this position, and I'm going to make sure that whoever I appoint meets that criteria.
Are you only considering Republicans?
Yes.
Under the state constitution, it has to be the same party, correct?
Actually, it's the state statute. The Constitution vests full authority with the governor.
And that's because they worried that Atia was going to appoint someone long ago.
I don't know. I don't know. I think the other piece, I want to go back to this point about someone not running for office. The other piece is it gives Oregonians essentially a blank slate to choose from for a new Secretary of State in 2020. And the new Secretary of State is likely, maybe, might play a role in addition to obviously overseeing elections in redistricting. And I feel very strongly that Oregonians should choose that Secretary of State.